Do you want to count us in, Yugen? Come on now.
Okay.
That's your
5,
style.
4, 3, 2, 1. It's
Uno.
party time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ramon Lewis.
Hey, and I'm Yugen Cosmic.
And welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to see you, Yugen. Nice to
It's
hear you.
always good to hear you, my love.
So here we go again. I think this is podcast 3 we're up to. Yeah. So let's have a little recap at the end of our podcast number 2.
Mm-hmm.
We touched on how to dissolve triggers and accept changes in relationships as it relates to having different perspectives as we move through life. So just talking on being aware of our intentions as well behind the decisions that we make, and just having a little look at them. Are they out of love or are they out of fear? So today we're going to talk on some points about how to develop and maintain healthy relationships, and just some things again to be aware of due to our own experiences together. Well, together and apart, and together.
Yeah, together apart.
And then I think Yugen spoke about his past attraction to broken people and what needed to change to allow in a reciprocal kind of love, and amongst other things. So
Emphasis on past. We
yes,
yes.
Definitely.
We don't bring
That-
the same
yeah.
baggage to this table.
Past is in the limelight,
Mm-hmm.
and now we can turn the light off. It's gone now. Bye. See you later.
Exactly.
Now I'm going to share something that happened yesterday because it relates to the themes that we're discussing today.
Uh-oh. Wait, this is about us?
Shall I tell everyone?
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. All right, let's do it.
So, okay, listeners, what happened yesterday is that we went in to record this, and we didn't end up following through because we both got really triggered bad. And I'm laughing about it now, but the irony is quite funny because we're talking on this. We're talking on dissolving triggers. We're talking on how to maintain healthy relationships, and it definitely caused some discomfort between us.
Yeah.
So what did we do? How did we resolve this?
Well, wait, which version do
You
you
can-
want? I mean,
Well, obviously your version, and then I'll give you mine, and then the listeners
No.
can work out.
okay, so what I remembered was, because in the usual way, like, you send me, like, your thoughts and ideas, and, I read it, and I highlight some things that I kind of want to comment on, and then I also insert my own commentary. But for some reason, I pulled it up on the screen because figured can just do it on the fly. But the formatting for all this stuff was just a little crazy for me. So I was really stuck on formatting. I like things that are visually appealing. So it was kind of hard for me to like work through it and like put my 2 cents in, because it was just visually like discomforting.
Okay. And then
Mm-hmm.
what happened? Because you were feeling uncomfortable, you started to get frustrated.
Yes.
And I'm like, the formatting doesn't matter. It's about the content.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you got a little bit uppity about my acronyms.
Yeah, because it wasn't your fault. It was just me, because you did tell me what one particular acronym meant, and it was just me trying to validate my frustration by like looking for things that just didn't actually really matter in the end.
Yeah. Well, that's okay now because we resolved our trigger.
Yeah.
I got triggered because of your trigger, and then we worked out what all we needed to do was just walk away, sleep on it, come back fresh the next day. So here we are. We made
We
it.
were trigger happy. Well, not
Trigger
happy.
not so happy, but now
Not so happy.
now we put our guns away, and there's no need to protect oneself anymore.
Yeah, and we actually spent so what we did, and I don't think like what we did was we ended up doing a recording, but the recording was just us talking to each other. We just talked, and we ultimately just said we worked through the whole trigger. We actually have a whole recording on it, but yeah, which is kind of funny. I think it was like 40
Which we're
something
not going to
minutes long.
publish.
Yeah, because we just really like talked through like all this stuff, and and it worked
Mm,
out well. Went to bed that night, waking up feeling tired but great.
yeah. Yeah. Went to bed on the other side of the country.
Yeah,
I
make it
think you
sound
went
like
to
we
work and I
were
went
we
to bed.
were into. Yeah, making it sound like we literally went to bed together. Like,
One
ah,
day.
one
One
day.
fun day.
Yeah. So yeah.
So awesome. Yeah. So we got there. And look, it might not even your the way you dissolve triggers might look a bit different depending on what you're dealing with and who you're in relationship with. It might be just not saying anything, but communicating the fact that you don't want to talk about it until you're
Mhm.
ready.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. But it's all about communication. And that's sort of what we're going to be talking about throughout this podcast, effective communication. But before we get on to that, let's talk about the first point, because we've got a few to explore. So, cultivating a healthy relationship is one of the most important things that I've had to learn over the years is learning to love yourself first.
Mm.
So, how it is necessary to love yourself first for it then to be possible to give love in its fullest capacity in return. So, how do we do this? There's a few ways. Obviously, accepting yourself, letting go of any shame and guilt, being kind and gentle to yourself, and cultivating joy. Because to love oneself means to be happy, essentially, with who you are.
Makes sense.
And of course, yeah, happiness is an inside job. So if we reach externally for things or people to make us happy, then we're putting our happiness into other people's hands and objects outside of ourselves.
That's true.
And just like, we spoke about in the first podcast about how goals sometimes elude us. Well, sorry, the
Mhm.
feeling of achieving the goal eludes us.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. It will elude us eventually if we keep on looking for happiness outside of ourselves. And there are lots of modalities we can engage in that assist us in the process. Meditation for one of them.
Mhm.
Inviting in mindful awareness.
Okay. Okay. So my partner, she really believes in the whole concept of like attracts like. So basically, if you keep ending up in a crappy relationship, it's because your energy's crappy. Okay. But but seriously, I agree in the sense that if you don't fortify your house, you can't weather the storm that's gonna come. And
Mm.
if you recall what I mentioned in the last podcast about people seeking traits in others that they lack in themselves, it's like a bunch of like succubus ass suckers, like people who leech off of other people for things that they don't have, and that's no way to like maintain. That's no way to live your life, and that's no way to have relationships.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that too. And there's the idea that we attract the things that we focus on as well, and not just the things that we may possibly lack and want to fulfill, because that's not really healthy. But focusing on the things that we do want, and then surrounding ourselves with people who reflect that back in us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that applies to relationships and to life in general. So if you embrace positive thinking and live with passion and are kind and accepting of yourself and others, then you'll attract people who do the same.
Hmm.
So learning self-love isn't easy. It takes practice and awareness, and what you need to do is identify and overcome your limiting beliefs. Maybe even look at rewriting your story if there's something that's misaligned, to give you a little more strength and confidence in yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I fully agree because of the nature of like how expectations work. People can be attracted to traits that they desire, as I mentioned before. And I mean, I've seen dissimilar people together and it works, and I've also seen very similar people together and it works, and it also goes,
Hmm.
the other way. So I don't know really if I have a metric to say I've I can I necessarily believe one thing over the other. Um, but it does
Mm.
take work to really, like, I mean, self love is important. You need to fully route yourself and fortify yourself. Coming back to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. I guess what I'm sort of um, trying to explain is that the law of attraction is what you like might be differences, might be the difference in your personality, might be a difference in your perspectives, just so that you can learn, grow, evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll attract that accordingly.
I guess
Um,
for me it's like more of the terminology. Um,
mm,
for me it seems a little simplified in a sense. Um,
yeah,
it's like if I say, well, I want to be rich and I desire to be rich. It requires work. Like, so I
totally.
guess it's just a
Yeah,
terminology that just kind of seems oversimplified for me.
yeah. And
Okay.
look, in action, it's complex
Mm-hmm.
because we're complex individuals and unique.
Rightfully
And so
so.
you can't just say a blanket statement and think that that's easy, because
Yeah.
between belief and action and manifesting, there's so much in it. There's so much there
No, that's
you need
true.
to work through.
Gotta put in the work.
One step at a time. Work, 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 work. All right. So let's move on to another theme about maintaining, cultivating a healthy relationship. Is this is one thing that my mum used to say to me, and it's one thing that always stuck. And she said this: never lower your standards.
Mm.
And I never have. I never have. I've
Until
always
now.
sorry, well, for the first time in all my relationships,
Wow.
I've stuffed it up.
Oh
No,
man.
I'm pretty sure I raised my standards with you.
You better believe it.
Well, you
You
better
better
prove
be.
it.
Oh, I'm putting in the work, girl. You know it.
Oh, work, work, work. All right. So,
Come back to that.
okay, let's go. What is it that you truly want from your relationship? So think about that. What are the standards that you hold for your dream partner? And what do you expect from your partner physically and emotionally? So whatever it is, that is the bar that you must hold for yourself as well.
Mm.
You're an active participant in this relationship. So the way you want to show up for you is the way you must show up for your partner.
True enough. You keep making the statement about that we mirror each other,
Mm-hmm.
and it's. I mean, I think it holds more water than the ocean. Than the yeah, than an ocean. But I don't even know if I'm using that right. But I straight up just made
Works.
that up. So you guys know what I mean, right? Um, but yeah, you're right. It's like I. It's true. Like whatever you expect from your partner, you have to be able to offer that in return. If you want somebody that's
Mm.
dependable, then guess what? You need to be dependable too. If you want somebody that has depth, then you have to have depth. If you want somebody that's,
Mm.
truthful, well, guess what?
Mm.
You got to put in the work and you got to be willing. It's not
Yeah.
a one-sided ticket where it's like, I want to have that, but I don't want to give that. And I
Mm.
swear to God, I am almost 40 years old, and it took me almost that long to understand what it means when people say you can't have your cake and eat it too. Now I say that quite often.
There you go. Yeah, and eat your words while you're at it.
Tasty. But yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, about expectations is so right when you say we must be able to fulfill what we expect in another with another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about um, meeting the needs. So your partner's core needs. Um, I have discovered in relationship that it's not needy to express your needs,
Mm.
because then it gives the opportunity for your partner to reciprocate their needs accordingly.
Yeah.
For example, my need might be the need for adventure, and the fulfillment of that need might be surprise. I love surprises.
Mm-hmm.
So if my partner knows what I need, then they can fulfill that in the way that they like to express that.
Yeah.
And connection is beyond intellectual. It's, I mean, what I desire is spiritual and emotional connection, like deep.
Wait, so why are you with
We,
me?
you're pretty intellectual. You've got to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You're quite spiritual too.
Don't tell people that.
And sensitive.
Hey, stop. Shh. I'm gonna delete that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. This
So I
is.
think, yeah.
Go on. Finish your statement,
Yeah,
young lady.
go for it. Okay, all right then. So anyway, I was just talking about depth, and I think with that sort of depth, then you can be empathic.
Mm-hmm.
You can be, sorry, not empathic, empathetic.
Empathetic. Yeah.
You can be empathetic to the needs of your partner,
Mm-hmm.
and then mutually you can meet their needs without the feeling of that it's an obligation.
Okay. This always, I think this is always interesting to me because, the depth of an interaction and like the ability to come to this like mutual agreement that you and your friend or your partner will go there together, explore your sensitivities and vulnerabilities and express, a level of care and consideration while doing so. That's important. And, there, I mean, how often do you hear of situations where it's like, maybe a friend or whatever is like, oh, I'm trying to understand my friend or partner and they won't let me in, da da da. And you have that barrier. And it's like, you cannot expect to have any valid interaction with someone if there isn't a willingness to go there with the other person. Because there's a lot to be gained from understanding. I mean, even to simplify it even further, there's people that, I started working with and I'm like, I don't want to be cool with this person. Like, they're annoying. But then I get to know them and, we have like a genuine interaction. All of a sudden, it's like, that's my homie right there. You know? It's just being willing to, I mean, you don't have to go to the deepest depths of yourselves, but a mutually agreed upon space to understand each other. That's relevant to relationships.
Absolutely. I think we're very quick to judge.
Mm-hmm.
We have to remember that everyone had and assume things about people.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. So just being able to be open, patient, and keep the channels of communication open for the depth of understanding someone else. And then using your discretion. You don't need to tell everyone about everything that goes on in your life. So I think that's important as well.
Yeah, different relationships have different levels. They don't have to go that deep. They don't have to be that shallow.
Yeah. Boom. But we go deep and we don't get no sleep. Up all night until the early light. That'll be our next podcast. We'll be doing musical compilations.
And we do that a lot on the fly. Like, you'll start singing or I'll start singing something and then we both like jump in it together, which is always fun. But picking up, like, we make assumptions and we rationalize instead of just simply asking and trusting our friends or partners. And I notice I keep throwing out the terms friends or partners because I don't know what people are going through, and I want to make sure that we want to make sure that what we're saying applies in a broader scope to everyone. But what was I saying? Yeah, we make assumptions and rationalize. Okay, so instead of trusting, our partners and our friends, and if there's no trust, then there's no relationship, and it often happens in that way that people do put up those barriers between themselves, as I was saying before, and some people are expecting blind trust and blind faith, but that doesn't work. You need to bring your A game to the table. You need to be willing to to offer, that level of consideration to the other person in order to get it back. And if you don't, then guess what? That's not a situation for you. Don't stick around expecting something to change. If you've gone there and if you put your best foot forward and the other person is not willing to
Mm.
do so in any situation, it's time to get the hell out, because all you're doing is
Yeah.
wasting your time and wasting your energies on things that will only end up having more unanswered questions than leading to a valid flowing relationship.
Yeah. I agree with you there, Eugen, but it's really hard for many people to let go.
I know.
They sort of
Trust
want
me,
to
this
hold
is easier
on.
said than done.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly like what we were talking about before.
Mm.
Like attracts like. It's just not that clean cut. It's not
Yeah.
a cookie cutter recipe. There's the things that happen within um, those stepping stones,
Yeah.
yeah, to get what it
Why
is
are
that we
we
need and
why are
desire.
we so drawn to things that are bad for us? Why are we so attracted to things that are bad for us and not things that are great for us?
I don't know. Maybe that's a good theme for another time. But
Oh,
I know what you.
we're
Because
gonna
we could
jump into
definitely
that
go.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. Um.
But yeah.
Maybe it's a lack of feeling like you deserve something great. Maybe
Mm.
it's a lack of self worth.
God, that's terrible. But you know what? No, let's definitely we'll pick that up on another podcast. But
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So where are
All
we up to?
right. So let's go to growing together.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Now, the way I see things might be different to other people out there, and that's okay. But every problem that is presented is a gift. Like every trigger is a treasure.
Trigger happy.
And trigger happy. Because it allows us to learn more about ourselves and others and brings greater wisdom. We become less triggered and more accepting and less judgmental. For me, I believe that discomfort is a really good thing. And even though at the time it doesn't feel that great, like yesterday, what we did is we took the time, we reflected on the experience, and we made it better for each other in the
Yeah.
way that we both felt comfortable with.
Like, ladies and gentlemen, my partner she is forever the optimist. And I got to say, I've learned a lot about relationships in a very short time. And you think, oh, dude, you're like not like 25. You're way older than that, right? And yeah, it's true. I don't look it. Thankfully, genetics. Gotta love that. But I mean, it's not like that. See, people will keep doing the same thing and making the same mistakes for their entire lives. But to learn
Mm.
something that like transforms your worldview and changes the course of your life, it's amazing. So as you're moving throughout your life and you're in relationships and you're wondering why things aren't working and not acknowledging that there's something that you need to learn in order to evolve and grow into having better relationships, that will be the detriment of a lot of people. And coming back to the start of what I was saying about my partner being the optimist, like she always believes that there's a way for things to work. She always believes that there's things to work in everyone's benefit. Like she is definitely in the pursuit of happiness. And there are moments where, and me, I'm very critical of things. Like I ask like hard questions. I need like verified proof that this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
And but she, like, it's in the depths of her, like she genuinely believes, and that makes me a believer. And that's something that I have to let go of, like needing, hard proof and data to,
Mm.
validate things and experiences. I appreciate that she's brought me around to that.
That's
And
beautiful because I believe in magic.
oh gosh,
Do
I'm
you
not singing that
believe
one.
in? Well, we've got balance going there, and I think this
Yeah.
brings us to the most perfect theme to move into now, which is appreciating differences,
Mm.
because we tend to forget those little differences are what awakened your interest in someone else in the first place.
That's
you know.
true.
And it's something to keep close to your hearts, your minds. Appreciate each other, and you'll not only appreciate the life you've created together, but really revel in it. And obviously, it is about balance. You know, we're going to feel at times frustrated that maybe, you know, our partner or whoever we're in relationship with might think a little bit differently. But then stopping and reflecting and remembering, again, you know, what I just said.
Yeah.
What is it that awakened your interest in this person? And how can you find equilibrium again together?
Well, that brings me to my question.
Go.
What was that thing that awakened your interest in me?
Actually, your ethereal nature. There was nothing, nothing, you know, it was initially the ethereal and magical part of you that attracted me to you. But as I got to know you, I worked out a lot of the things that I miss, which is your scientific, pragmatic, kind of logical and...
There we go. That's more like it.
There you go. There you go. Come on now. I'm giving it to you.
Now I'm feeling it. Yeah.
I need a plan for success kind of mindset is something I don't have at all.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that in you.
You are definitely a go with the flow person.
Yeah.
I'm still studying you. I'm like, how is this working? How are you doing this? Life needs a plan.
Yeah, doesn't God laugh at you when you make plans? Something like that. Ha ha ha.
I'm laughing at him. Or her.
Oh, it's definitely.
You know, I'm like a prepper. Like I've got enough supplies to last me however long. Like I know what I'm doing
just
tomorrow.
One day at a time.
Yeah, I've got a calendar full of events. Like I know where I need to be at a certain time. Like my life is.
Well, some of us aren't in stage 4 lockdown, so I've got nowhere to be.
Well, I have a plan to get you here. How about that?
Well, I'm hoping you get here before I get over there.
Hey.
Oh, do you have a plan? You got a plan? Oh my God. Well, you know.
Oh, now you like plans.
Shh.
All right, so let's wrap this up here, because
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we go on and on.
Yeah, we go on. And it's been recording for a while. And no, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully this was something that's been worthwhile for you, as it was for us. And it all stems from our learning experience and things that we've been curious about. So please continue to listen. And if you guys got any topics that you want us to cover, we totally appreciate it, because we will dive down that hole with you guys.
Oh, we will, and certainly. And we want to cover a little bit more. So for next time, we might have a little look at, some other themes, how to build trust, aligning your values, because that's sort of how we started this whole podcast. Being honest and keeping it all going.
Yeah, let's keeping
it real. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, sounding off here from New York, I am Yugen Cosmic.
And from Melbourne City, I am Ramon Lewis.
All right, have a beautiful day, night, whichever.
Enjoy.